Papoose, humiliated after 50 Cent's leaked contract, cuts him out of Remy Ma's future. Sometimes a man doesn't lose his place in a woman's life through a shouting match or a messy live stream. He loses it when his signature is erased from the paperwork. Right now, the entire internet is imploding after a shocking leaked contract connected to 50 Cent and Remy Ma surfaced online, and fans are realizing this wasn't just a corporate deal. This was a cold, calculated, public erasure of Papoose from Remy Ma's future. For over a decade, Papoose was sold to the public as the ultimate partner, the protector, the shadow executive standing behind every power move. But when that alleged signature page leaked, the world froze for one simple reason. 50 Cent's name was printed clearly, Remy Ma's signature was locked in, and Papoose was completely nowhere to be found. Did 50 Cent just execute the cleanest chess move in hip-hop history by exposing that Papoose was never really part of the long-term empire? Or did Remy Ma quietly execute a multi-million-dollar exit strategy before the public even realized the marriage was over? If you thought relationship drama was cold, wait until you see what happens when the legal documents move on without you. Stay tuned, because what we are about to break down proves that a single sheet of paper can do more lethal damage to a man's reputation than 1,000 diss tracks ever could. The reason this entire situation is sending shockwaves through the culture is because this doesn't feel like standard internet gossip anymore. We are way past the phase of cryptic shade posts, late-night Instagram lives, throwing subliminal shots in podcasts, or releasing quick diss tracks that blow over in 48 hours. This feels fundamentally different because the damage wasn't done in a comment section. It was executed on bonded paper with blue ink. And when a man's name disappears from the legal framework of an empire he claimed to build, the public humiliation hits on a completely different level. For years, the general public was sold a very specific narrative. Papoose wasn't just presented as Remy Ma's husband. He was framed as the mastermind, the protective shadow, the brand manager, the strategic brain, and the indestructible pillar standing beside her massive comeback. So when rumors of a secret business deal involving 50 Cent and Remy Ma began circulating, nobody was immediately asking how many millions were on the table. The very first question echoing across the internet was simple: where is Papoose? And that is precisely where the entire narrative collapsed into sheer chaos. According to the alleged leaks circulating through industry channels, the final signature page wasn't a crowded mess of managers, legal representatives, family trusts, or co-executives. It was clean, brutal, and terrifyingly concise. 50 Cent's legal corporate entity was locked in. Remy Ma's individual entity was clearly defined. The corporate stamps were present. But the one man who spent over 15 years publicly positioning himself as the co-pilot of the entire operation was nowhere to be found. Papoose was completely unlisted, unmentioned, and legally non-existent in the future trajectory of Remy Ma's brand. When a man spends over a decade claiming co-ownership of a woman's public identity, his total absence from a massive corporate restructuring isn't viewed as a minor oversight. The public views it as a calculated execution. It looks like a strategic shift designed to send a loud, undeniable message to the entire industry that the next chapter of this brand has absolutely no room for him. And when you factor 50 Cent into an equation like this, everyone already knows the narrative isn't just going to be discussed. It's going to be turned into an absolute weapon of mass embarrassment. Let us be completely clear about the optics here. Nobody is claiming every single document circulating online has been authenticated by a federal court, nor is anyone suggesting we have read every single confidential clause in its entirety. But in the court of public opinion, absolute verification isn't what drives the narrative, perception is what drives the narrative. Once the collective internet convinces itself that Papoose was quietly removed from the financial structure, the reputation damage is already fully operational. The court of public opinion is notoriously ruthless because it doesn't wait for formal press releases, legal clarifications, or polished PR statements. It doesn't care about emotional history, past loyalty, or verbal promises made behind closed doors. The public sees three distinct elements: a high-stakes deal, 50 Cent's presence, and a missing husband. That visual image alone is humiliating, devastating, and impossible to control once it gains momentum. The absolute most agonizing part of this whole leak for Papoose isn't just the fact that his name wasn't on the dotted line. It's what that missing name reveals about the reality of his position all along. For years, people assumed that the emotional partnership automatically translated into a legal power structure. But this leaked document aggressively exposes the massive boundary between being physically present in the room and being legally protected on the contract. You can sit in every single executive meeting, you can attend every red carpet event, you can drive the car to the studio, you can stand directly behind the artist in every promotional photo shoot, and you can boast about loyalty in every radio interview. But if your signature isn't on the corporate filing, if your name isn't listed under the ownership clauses, and if your intellectual property rights aren't legally locked into the framework, the exact moment real money and corporate power enter the room, you can be cut out with a single stroke of a pen. That is why this situation feels so ice-cold. It isn't loud, it isn't emotional, and it isn't a screaming match in a mansion driveway. It is corporate bureaucracy acting with absolute surgical precision, and corporate bureaucracy does not care about your feelings, your history, or your sacrifices. It only asks one terrifying question. Whose name is on the line? The internet is reading this alleged leak as a brutal reality check, proving that Papoose's name was never written down where it actually mattered. This is where 50 Cent becomes the ultimate catalyst in this entire saga. 50 is widely regarded as a master strategist when it comes to public psychological warfare and corporate dominance. He doesn't need to do 3-hour interviews to destroy an opponent. He understands how to let a single image, a single leaked page, or a calculated silence execute a level of long-term reputation damage that no diss track could ever hope to achieve. So when news broke that an alleged contract connected to his team quietly removed Papoose from Remy Ma's financial future, nobody viewed it as a random coincidence. The culture immediately recognized it as a classic 50 Cent chess move. Fans are calling it a masterclass in corporate warfare, not necessarily because the full details are public, but because the psychological optics are so sharp. 50 Cent operates with cold, ruthless precision, while everyone else is operating on raw emotional reactions. He understands human nature, he understands industry optics, and most importantly, he knows exactly how the internet will react when a man is publicly exposed as being completely locked out of a deal he thought he controlled. If this alleged leak was designed to strip Papoose of his executive image, it accomplished its goal with terrifying efficiency. It completely flipped the script overnight. Before this document surfaced, the conversation surrounding Remy Ma and Papoose was stuck in standard relationship gossip. Talk of emotional distance, messy podcast rumors, third-party drama, and silent tensions. But the second this paper hit the web, the entire conversation shifted out of relationship drama and slammed directly into corporate boardrooms. And boardroom drama is infinitely more dangerous because it demands real, unyielding answers. Who actually owns the rights? Who holds the master tapes? Who controls the brand licensing? Who gets paid on the back end? And who gets left standing outside the building watching the new checks get cut? That is the nightmare scenario haunting Papoose's public legacy right now. Because if Remy Ma is actively signing major multi-million-dollar deals without his name anywhere on the documentation, it strongly suggests that she didn't just separate her personal life behind closed doors. She officially separated her financial future long before the public even caught a hint of what was happening. And if 50 Cent provided the corporate structure to make that separation legally binding, then Papoose didn't just lose a relationship. He was strategically purged from an empire. That is a vastly colder, far more brutal narrative than a simple breakup. That isn't just moving on. That is executing a financial evacuation plan and leaving the former partner stranded in the past. This cold financial evacuation plan is precisely why this leaked document stings infinitely harder than any diss track ever recorded in the history of hip-hop. A diss track is an emotional response, and in the world of entertainment, an emotional response can always be countered. If someone attacks your character on a record, you can step into a recording booth, lay down 32 bars, drop a clever punchline, flip the narrative, and win back the respect of the audience by the next morning. You can hop on a high-profile podcast, do a 3-hour interview, tell your side of the emotional journey, control the optics, and get the comment section rallying behind your pain. But when the attack isn't launched on a microphone, but rather printed inside a 30-page corporate agreement, the traditional rules of rap beef instantly become completely useless. You cannot freestyle your way onto an executive signature line. You cannot write a clever metaphor that magically inserts your corporate entity into a binding non-disclosure clause. You cannot rhyme your way into equity, And you certainly cannot use street respect to overturn a legally binding buyout agreement that has already been notarized and filed with corporate lawyers. What makes this narrative so impossible for viewers to look away from is the chilling realization that this alleged signature page might only represent the absolute tip of a massive legal iceberg. If a single page leaked to the public carries enough structural damage to fundamentally alter the perception of a 15-year hip-hop marriage, imagine what could happen if the full agreement surfaces tomorrow. What happens if future leaks reveal explicit buyout clauses, non-disclosure agreements, or legal releases that completely prohibit former associates from touching a single dollar generated by her new ventures? What happens if 50 Cent decides to drop one of his notoriously petty, masterfully timed jokes that officially confirms the entire industry is laughing at Papoose's total exclusion? The entire culture is sitting on the absolute edge of its seat, waiting for the next shoe to drop because they know that in the modern era of viral celebrity commentary, a single leaked page is rarely the end of the story. It is almost always the opening shot of a much larger, infinitely more brutal public fallout.